This painting is called Lake Superior, sketch number 63. It was made by Lauren S. Harris, who was born in Brantford, Ontario in 1885. He passed away in Vancouver, British Columbia in 1970. It was made in 1926 and is an oil on beaver board. It was a gift to the National Gallery of Canada from the Douglas M. Duncan collection in 1970. The accession number is 16550. I enjoy this particular painting, not only because of its particular style, but also because it's very typical of the group of seven. For those of you who don't know, this is a group of several Canadian artists that decided to form a social group essentially of artists that would paint together, do different activities together, etc., and really created this relatively new style and look to Canadian artists and Canadian audiences in the art community. Tell yourselves until the 1930s and 40s, this kind of painting really just wasn't done. Most painting was either religious art, so you were painting scenes from the crucifixion or Christmas and things like that, right? Or you were painting historical events or historical interpretations, or you were doing flat out, portraits, etc. Landscapes became more and more popular. Then you had paintings that were, things like still life and all that. Um, as people's tastes started to change in the 1800s, right? Excuse me. And of course, in the 1900s, people were really starting to rebel and saying, hey, we don't want to do art like that anymore. We don't want to do what we're told necessarily, right? Not necessarily rebelling against everything, but it also depended on what movement you were a part of. Some movements, some artists like Picasso said, "Yo, I'm going against everything. I'm not painting the way you're telling me to paint. I'm going to paint completely differently, right? I'm going to do what I feel like I should be doing in my paintings, etc." So in these paintings, they were rebelling to some degree, but they were still portraying what they were seeing, right? So this, you would think, okay, yeah, this is, a lake, maybe dried up or during the winter where there's not as much foliage or whatever, right? It's still realistic to some degree, right? But it's not lifelike. You're not going to Lake Superior and expecting to see exactly this, right? So there's still those movements that still want to embrace traditional styles of painting and painting techniques, but want to maybe differ in the overall look and presentation and be more interpretive in what they're showing to the public. So I do like this particular style. I do think it's unique enough, but not so distinct, not so detached that you feel like you are um like a Picasso painting. Look at something like you're like, wait a minute, what am I looking at here? I'm not really sure. In this painting, you're still getting the sense of this is our world, but not totally, right? It's not dystopian either. It's not body horror where it's like, oh my god, this is so horrible and disgusting. It's like, no, this, you could see the essence of this in real life, right? And it's not so completely detached, right? So um I do recommend that if you are in Ottawa, because that's where the National Gallery of Canada is, do take a moment to go to this gallery and well, not technically gallery, but museum. And I think that this painting should still be there, right? So do take a moment to go and look for this painting and see it for yourself in real life. The group of seven, and there, people that follow their styles have this kinds of paint, and it's fairly typical of what they do. And I do think that it's, a good time to go see them during the winter if you're in Ottawa, to take the moment to go and get out of the cold, go to the museum, depending on whether you're photographing or not. If you're just walking around, it'll take you half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much time you're spending looking at each painting. But if you are a photographer like I am, you could probably spend the day taking photos, especially if it's the first time that you're going there, right? I think it's worth it. You can get, I think there are membership passes that you can buy that allow you to go back several times. I don't go to Ottawa enough to justify having a membership to them, but it could technically be worth it if you do live in Ottawa or near Ottawa. It might be worth spending that time and money for an annual museum pass.